They dragged him out of the courthouse like he was nothing, a joke, a stain. A man the world believed had finally been broken. His face was shoved into the pavement, his wrists tightened until the skin turned purple, and the very people who once feared him now laughed. But no one in that crowd, not the officers, not the prosecutors, not even the judge, knew the truth. The Joker wasn't defeated. He was watching, listening, learning exactly who deserved to pay, and when he returned, he didn't come back for chaos. He came back for justice in a way only he understood, slow, precise, and terrifyingly poetic. Before we begin this dark and emotional story, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens when the Joker walks back into that courtroom. They said the Joker provoked the officers. They said he resisted. They said he laughed while they dragged him out like an animal. But the truth was quieter and much more painful. He didn't speak a word that day, not because he was afraid, but because he finally saw what real power looked like. Not the power of madness, not the power of fear, but the power of a courtroom full of people who could ruin a life with a single sentence and feel nothing afterward. It happened the moment Judge Rowan leaned forward, adjusted her glasses, and said, "Get him out of my courtroom. He's wasting our time." The bailiffs grabbed him. And the crowd, oh, the crowd loved it. Phones out, smiles wide, people cheering like they finally tamed the monster. His green hair smeared with dust, his purple coat ripped at the shoulder, his cheek pressed so hard into the tiles he could smell bleach and old tears. But there was one sound that cut through everything. A woman's sob, short, sharp, almost frightened. He lifted his head just enough to see her, a young mother in the back row, trembling, holding a folder to her chest. No one looked at her. No one cared. Even the judge seemed annoyed she was taking up space. When their eyes met, her expression changed. Not fear of him, but recognition. As the officers dragged him across the floor, her lips shaped a single desperate word. Please. That was the moment the Joker stopped looking like a villain and started seeing who the real ones were. The holding cell was cold, lined with peeling gray paint and the smell of rusted pipes. The Joker sat alone, wrists bruised, his breath fogging in the air. Most people thought his silence meant defeat. But anyone who truly knew him, anyone who understood the strange way his mind worked, would recognize it differently. He wasn't quiet. He was calculating. The guard outside taunted him. "Not so funny today, huh, clown?" Still, the Joker didn't move, because he was thinking about the courtroom, about the judge's irritation, about the woman's shaking hands, about the file she clutched like her life depended on it. A story was unfolding in front of him, and he could see every thread, every lie, every name, every power play, woven together like a tapestry of corruption. He wasn't merely thrown out. He was thrown out because someone needed him gone. That meant someone inside that courtroom feared what he might say. And fear was his favorite language. Hours passed before another inmate was shoved into the cell. A massive man, tattoos across his neck, the kind who thought size equaled dominance. He recognized the Joker instantly and smirked. "Look at you," the man said. "Heard the judge kicked you out like trash." The Joker didn't respond. "Guess you're losing your touch." Still silence. The man leaned closer, breath reeking of bitterness. "I bet the whole court knew you had nothing. That's why they threw you out. Nobody takes the clown seriously anymore." A subtle twitch flickered under the Joker's eye. Not anger, something darker, a realization. He turned his head just enough to study the man. He'd seen that tattoo before, the curved serpent, the initials burned into the skin. He saw them on one of the prosecutors earlier that day. Interesting. He tilted his head, a small, crooked smile forming. "Tell me," his voice poured out, soft and gentle, "does your boss know you talk too much?" The man froze. His arrogance evaporated in an instant. The Joker leaned in, whispering, "They dragged me out to keep me from talking. But you just told me everything I needed." The guard banged on the bars. "Enough!" The Joker sat back, hands folded calmly, eyes glowing with new purpose. When they dragged him out like a nobody, they thought they humiliated him. They didn't know they had handed him a map. Night fell. The courthouse emptied. Judge Rowan headed to the parking garage alone, heels echoing in the cavernous darkness. She sensed movement behind her. "Who's there?" she snapped. A faint laugh floated through the dimly lit space. Low, quiet, not meant to startle, but to warn. She spun around, and there he stood, bruised, dirty, hollow-eyed, but smiling with the calm patience of someone who already knew the ending of her story. "You dragged me out," he said softly. "Now I'm returning the favor." Her breath trembled. You can't be here." "Oh, Judge," he whispered, stepping into the pale light. "You and I both know rules only matter to the people you choose." She backed away, fumbling for her keys, but he wasn't moving closer. He just watched, studied her, the way she shook, the way guilt lived quietly behind her eyes. "You look like someone who's afraid of the truth," he murmured. "And fear, Judge, fear is the one thing you can't drag out of a courtroom." Her voice broke. "What do you want from me?" The Joker's smile softened, almost sad. "I want to know why that woman cried today." Judge Rowan's face drained of color. In that moment, he knew. She wasn't scared of him. She was scared of what he had already figured out. He took one small step forward, lowering his voice to a chilling whisper. "And I want you to tell me who told you to get rid of me." Her hand shook so violently the keys fell. The echo of metal against concrete rang like a gunshot. The Joker leaned his head, listening, and then, with a haunting calm, he said, "Careful, Judge. The truth has a way of falling too." Judge Rowan stood frozen in the parking garage, the cold air swallowing her breath as the Joker's words wrapped around her like a tightening rope. His face, half-shadowed, half-lit, watched her with the quiet patience of someone who had waited a very long time for this moment. He didn't move. He didn't threaten, but the truth in his eyes was sharper than any weapon. "Well, who told me?" she whispered, voice cracking. "You don't understand. It wasn't my choice." The Joker tilted his head, amused. "People always say that right before they confess." Rowan shook her head desperately. "It wasn't like that. They warned me you were going to expose something dangerous." His smile faded, his posture straightened, all amusement drained from his face. "Exposing what, Judge?" For the first time, he wasn't playing. He wanted the truth. Rowan swallowed, her trembling fingers scraping the concrete as she tried to pick up the fallen keys. "The woman in the audience," she whispered. "Her name is Mara. She was supposed to testify today." Rowan closed her eyes, ashamed. But someone powerful didn't want her voice heard. The Joker's expression didn't change, but the air around him did. It felt colder, heavier, like something dangerous had just woken up inside him. "And let me guess," he murmured, "you owe this someone a favor?" Rowan hesitated too long. The Joker chuckled softly. "Ah, so that's how they keep you on a leash." Rowan forced herself to stand. "You don't know what these people are capable of." "And you," the Joker replied quietly, "don't know what I am capable of." For a moment, they simply stared at each other. Two broken pieces of the same corrupted system, one hiding behind rules, the other behind madness. Then the Joker stepped back into the shadows, his voice floating toward her like a ghost. "You're going to help me, Judge." Rowan's heart stopped. "Help you? With what?" He leaned forward, eyes burning with purpose. "With the return." The next morning, whispers swirled through the courthouse. Officers spoke in hushed tones. Lawyers clutched their folders tighter, and the hallways felt unnervingly quiet, as if everyone expected something to happen, but no one knew what, or when, or how. Only one person did. Mara, the frightened woman from the back row, sat outside the courtroom, fingers wrapped around her folder. Her eyes darted around nervously, as though expecting someone to drag her away again. Instead, a soft voice spoke behind her. "You came back." She turned, startled, and there he was, standing calmly in the hallway, wearing a simple dark coat instead of his usual flamboyant colors. It made him look almost normal, almost human. "You," she breathed. "Why are you here?" The Joker offered a small, disarming smile. "Because nobody drags me out twice." Her hands tightened on the folder. "They said you were dangerous." He shrugged. Sometimes good things come wrapped in the wrong packaging. Before she could answer, Judge Rowan appeared from around the corner, her eyes sweeping the hall anxiously. When she spotted Mara, she rushed forward. "We don't have much time," Rowan whispered. "The ones who silenced you yesterday, they're already trying again." Mara's voice cracked. "They said if I opened my mouth, I'd lose everything." Rowan looked at her with a painful softness. "You already did." The Joker stepped closer. "Tell me who they are." Mara hesitated, tears forming, and then she said it. A name. One name. The Joker froze. Of all the people he expected, this was the one name he never thought he'd hear. His jaw clenched, his eyes narrowed, and for the first time, Mara saw something more frightening than madness in his face. Recognition. She whispered, "He threatened my daughter." That was all the Joker needed. His laughter, the real kind, the chilling, spine-tightening one, echoed through the silent hallway. Not because anything was funny, but because the final piece of the puzzle had snapped into place, and the Joker loved puzzles. When the courtroom session began, people buzzed with unease. Officers stood tense, lawyers whispered, and Judge Rowan kept glancing at the door as if bracing herself for an earthquake. Then the double doors opened. Gasps filled the room. The Joker walked in, not escorted, not restrained, but calm, composed, and terrifyingly sure of himself. Mara followed behind him, clutching her folder. Judge Rowan straightened in her seat, her voice steady despite her trembling hands. "Court will come to order." Every camera turned to the Joker. He ignored them all. His eyes locked instead on a man sitting confidently at the front, the man Mara had named. A polished suit, a smug smile, and a serpent tattoo peeking out from beneath his collar, the same symbol the inmate in the cell had worn. The Joker's voice cut through the room like a blade. "You dragged me out yesterday," he said calmly. "So today, I brought someone else in." The man scoffed. "You have nothing funny," the Joker interrupted. "That's what your friend in the cell said before he told me everything." The man's face tightened. The Joker stepped forward, hands clasped behind his back, speaking with chilling gentleness. "You silenced this woman. You threatened her child. You manipulated a judge, and you thought you could hide behind the law." A slow smile twisted across his lips. "But I don't hide behind anything." The courtroom buzzed, fear spreading like wildfire. Even the officers hesitated, unsure whether to stop him or let him finish. The Joker leaned in slightly, eyes glittering. "So here's what's going to happen. Mara will speak. The judge will listen. And you," he paused, voice dropping to a whisper, "will finally learn what it feels like to be dragged out." The man stood abruptly, rage pouring through his eyes. "You think you can threaten me?" "No," the Joker whispered. "I think you already threatened the wrong person." Judge Rowan slammed her gavel. "Security!" But she wasn't calling them on the Joker. She was calling them on the man. Every officer in the room moved at once. The man stumbled back, shocked, as handcuffs snapped around his wrists. His face twisted in fury. "You'll regret this!" he screamed. The Joker smiled. "Oh, I usually do, but it's fun anyway." As they dragged the corrupt man out, kicking, cursing, protesting, the entire courtroom watched in stunned silence. The same way they once watched the Joker. He stood still, hands folded, expression serene. A perfect reversal, a perfect return. And just when everyone thought the moment was over, the judge asked quietly, "Joker, why did you help her?" The room held its breath. The Joker turned, his smile fading into something unexpectedly human. "Because," he said softly, "nobody helped me." The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating, unforgettable. The courtroom would talk about this day for years, but the Joker was already walking away, coat swaying behind him, leaving only one final unanswered question lingering in the air. If he could do this for someone else, what would he do next when it was personal? And that was the day the world realized something terrifying. The Joker isn't dangerous because he's chaotic. He's dangerous because he knows exactly when to be. If you want more stories where justice doesn't come clean, where villains become heroes, and where the truth hits harder than any punch, make sure to subscribe, like, and stay with us. Because the Joker's story, it's far from over.